For the next 5 days, you will only use technology from the year you were born.
I have...
Could I live with tech back when I was born? Tech back in 1999. Rooster Teeth connected. 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 So obviously we live in a connected world, and when you put the words connection and technology together, it's near impossible not to think of the internet. Well, in 1999, obviously the internet was around, but I think it's more important to look at how we access the internet rather than at the internet itself. You can have the library to all of human knowledge, but if you can't get in, it's useless. And that is where we've seen the largest advancements in technology, the ease of use. Trying to make it easier for everybody to be able to use the internet. And so that is why I want to talk about wireless internet, Wi-Fi. In 1999, Wi-Fi was around, but it was far from being in the average household. It ran under the system of waveLAN, the predecessor to 802.11 AC Wi-Fi that we use today, and it had a theoretical limit of 11 megabits per second. Well, it's a start, and man did it get fast. For good reason, too. The majority of the tech that we use today, such as laptops, phones, tablets, cameras, don't have an Ethernet jack. The producers of these technologies stopped wanting to put these bulky ports into these technologies that were getting smaller and smaller. Today, you can't even buy Wi-Fi speeds less than 15 megabits per second. And living in a first world country like Canada, it's not uncommon to see speeds 70, 100 megabits per second. Now, this 802.11 AC Wi-Fi that we use today has a theoretical limit of 900 megabits per second. That's over 80 times more than what it was back in 1999. But I think when we talk about technology's change and role in connectivity, this is something a bit more important than Wi-Fi. Mobile broadband, what most people today just call cellular data. It is the ultimate ease of use. You're no longer confined to a room or a building like you would be with Wi-Fi. In 1999, cellular data did exist under 2G, which was really the first wireless access to the internet without the need for a modem. It ran 19.2 kilobits per second, which is slow, but it's a start. Now in 2006, 4G came along, and that soon grew to LTE, or long-term evolution, that of which grew to LTE Advanced, which is the most up-to-date form of mobile broadband that we have today. You can get up to 600 megabits per second with a good cell reception. And theoretically, LTE Advanced can go up to a gigabit per second transfer speeds. Now, data isn't just for emails or updating maps or checking social media. It's for streaming video. You can do anything you want on the internet at home, now, anywhere. It's opened the world to provide easy access right at your fingertips. But it does cause some problems. Not necessarily technologically, but more culturally. Specifically, while you're connecting to someone halfway around the world, you're heavily annoying and not connecting with the person you're supposed to be connecting with right in front of you. And also, as a culture, we kind of just stopped paying attention to the beauty around us. We're too busy paying attention and looking down at a phone. Oh, I just got an email. This takes just a moment. What? With advancements in technology, we've become a society that's highly reliant on instant access and instant connection to the internet. A lot of the kids that are born today haven't lived in a time when they needed a wire or to bear through AOL's treacherous screams to get onto the internet. It's like the world's going to end if they can't get onto the internet instantly, kind of because they haven't lived in a time when that wasn't the case. And, well, it kind of applies to everyone else too. How many times have you unplugged and replugged your router to see if the internet was back on? Or how many times have you avoided a corner of your house because there's low Wi-Fi reception? Oh my god. I just lost cell reception. What am I going to do if my friends on Facebook send me a funny cat meme? How am I going to know when my favorite gamer on Twitch streams? How am I supposed to know how many likes my latest photo on Instagram hit? Without Twitter, how am I supposed to know when my favorite celebrities are taking a Oh, and reception's bad. That was awkward. Just get... Back in the day, to get on the internet, you needed one of these. Not a phone, but a phone line. And every time you want to check your email, you have to bear through this, dialing up. It also meant that since it was using the same line, if ever anyone was on the internet, you couldn't use the phone. It's kind of funny how back in the day we needed a phone line to get internet into the average household. And nowadays there are more and more companies that are willing to use your internet to provide you with phone service for free. And with advancements in video chat with Skype or Apple's FaceTime or Google's new Project Duo, it's becoming pretty evident that the technology to replace the telephone isn't just developed, it's already in place. It also helps that most of these programs are free. But unlike our reliance on the internet or the phone line and how that has varied dramatically over the years, something hasn't varied dramatically over the years: our reliance on one very specific technology. For many years, lights. Lights have been a symbol of human advancement ever since they were invented in the 1800s. Now, obviously, lights have changed a lot, and obviously, lights have been around before 1999. The technology used in incandescent lights, or the lights with tungsten filaments, have been around for a long time, and were very commonplace by the time 1999 rolled around. And to this day, you can still see traces of incandescent lights used. However, the technology of lights has moved on far past incandescent lights, to fluorescent lights, to LEDs, which are far more efficient. Well, obviously, when you look at an incandescent light, you're literally looking at heating up a piece of metal so hot that if it were taken out of a bulb, it would ignite, just so that it would glow and give a little light, which means a lot of the energy put into it is converted to heat instead of usable light. And that's where most of technology has been used, trying to get light bulbs to produce more light for less energy, and being more efficient. In 2016, we now have LEDs, very efficient light-emitting diodes, that produce very little heat for the energy that is put into it. And now, the common street light. The technology used in sodium vapor lights have been used since the early 19th century. And they're perfect to be used in street lights because they require very little maintenance and take a very long time to wear down. Unlike incandescent lights or fluorescents or LEDs, no matter how long you've been using them for, their light doesn't diminish. Which means that if we would go back to 1999, get rid of all of the LEDs and just be left with incandescent and sodium vapor lights, we would still be fine. But sodium vapor lights do have their disadvantages. For one, technology used in sodium vapor lights depends solely on the excitation of electrons up to a higher electron field and then back, releasing photons. However, that produces a very slim margin of light, a very specific amount of yellow light, which means that color representation is all but gone. Unlike white light, which when reflected you see colors, if it's just a single wavelength, like the yellow produced by sodium vapor lights, you only see yellow or not quite yellow, which makes color differentiation extremely difficult. To the point that common street lamps actually have added elements besides just sodium to make them have a larger range of color. This is also partially the reason why large cities like Los Angeles and to an extent even Calgary are starting to switch from sodium vapor lamps to LED street lamps. How about let's get back to 2016, the age of the efficient LEDs. Okay, too bright, turn off the LED, turn off the LED. Oh, okay, oh. But as technology has progressed, we have gone much further than just using light to diminish the... Okay, wait, give me a sec. But light in the dark isn't the only thing that light is good for. We also heavily rely on them for digital displays. Old CRT televisions, or cathode ray tubes, were bulky, heavy, and literally shooting electrons at your face. Also, due to the nature of having to bend electrons to create an image, CRT televisions had a limited size and clarity range. Beyond a certain point, the image would be distorted past recognition. Now we can have huge plasma, LCD, and LED displays. Now the only limitation is where to put the image drivers in that ever-thinning bezel. We can get 1080p, 2K, 4K, 8K monitors. We can have near infinite contrast with organic LEDs, OLEDs, or AMOLEDs, that create blacks with pixels that simply turn off. We could put increasingly clearer screens with higher pixel densities and smaller displays. Sony came out late last year with the Sony Z5 Premium, a smartphone with a 4K display. So obviously panel screens have to be increasingly more and more powerful CPUs. One thing that hasn't changed in the past 17 years is the dominance of Intel in the field of computer chips. In 1999, they had just come out with the Intel Pentium 3, a single-core 1.4 GHz chip that was the top of their line model. In 2016, we now have the Intel Core i7 lineup of chips, maxing out a beastly 8 cores simultaneously running at 3 GHz. If we had computer power back like that in 1999, it would be near impossible to run highly graphically intensive games, or do things like editing or exporting video. With the increase of power and capabilities of computers, we've seen huge leaps in gaming, animation, and computer-generated effects in movies. Don't get me wrong, the film industry is still going larger and more complicated than ever before, to the point that it still sometimes takes months to fully render a single scene. But at least it's doable. Before, they're using things like this to edit movies. It's still incredible what they were able to do back in the day. The Matrix, a CG masterpiece for its time back in 1999, simply can't compare with the completely computer-generated characters, objects, and stories that are created today. Without getting all Matrix Reloaded like. In 1999, Pixar just came out with Toy Story 2, the sequel to the critically acclaimed Toy Story back in 1995, the first motion picture to use completely computer-generated animations. Now, Pixar just came out with a new masterpiece in the good dinosaur. Holy crap, that is amazing! Okay. Speaking of movies, another thing that's changed is how we view movies. Movies have always tried to get more and more. Can we go back to see the Good Dinosaur clip again? Are you sure no helicopter was used in the filming of that? Oh, okay, fine. Okay, I just want to be sure. Where were we? Oh, right. Okay. Innovative entertainment. Back in the day, we had Anaglyph 3D. It's been around a bit before I was born. Those red and cyan glasses that made it look like you were watching a black and white video with epilepsy? Now we have another way to enjoy 3D entertainment. Virtual reality. Nowadays, it's easy to find one of these, a VR headset. And all it takes is the technology found in a simple smartphone. Accelerometer, something to play video, and instant 3D VR.
Oh man, this is totally the future! Wait, this is totally the present! You thought I didn't see it there? Whoa.
So obviously, technology has changed a lot. But most of the tech that we use today simply replaced old technology with newer, faster, more powerful tech. So when you ask me if I could go without these 21st century technologies, I would like to think so. Technology should, for the most part, be a luxury and not a necessity. I didn't have a cell phone until recently, and while I feel like I know how to use that luxury to the best of its potential, I grew up learning how to live without it. And a lot of the technology that is up to date today isn't readily used by the general population. I don't need a self-driving car or to play games in VR. I could potentially do most of the things I do today, just slower. I could watch 240p video on my CRT monitor attached to an Intel Pentium 3 computer with 11 megabits per second of Wi-Fi. But I think it's still important to learn about the world around us and how it's changed, even if simply just to learn about what we might have in store for the future. If this is the pace that technology will advance, and it will almost definitely accelerate due to Moore's law, the future will be both awesome and terrifying. And I'm probably going to accept it with open arms either way. There's so much we can learn about our own values and morals by looking back at our technological advancement. What we can and cannot live without. And as for the future, I think this sums it up best.
To infinity and